What's going on, folks? This
What's up,
is folks, fam. We welcome all sorts and kinds here. This is Bob. That's Ray. We are your hosts of Split Personalities, the podcast hosted. I haven't said this in a while. The podcast hosted by twins, 30 in their now entering their late 30s, who got bored with their lives and decided what to do what most hacks with no talent do. We started a podcast, and like all podcasts and most that we've done thus far, we are drinking masthead beer out of some unique glasses.
Yes, this time a little different.
These ones are actually Reagan.
I totally forgot that this was.
Reagan hold his up too because they are a pair here. I bought these intentionally because they're a pair. Clink. These are called Victorian goblets. They are from. We got them straight from Dublin in the Guinness storehouse. Sláinte. And the only bad thing is they were hand wash only. But they're the first time we're breaking them out, and I did take a couple pictures of them, but I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but we got them engraved to say Split Personalities with Bob and Ray.
Hey-o.
Oh.
So now it's official.
It's official. We've put our names on a lot of different things. And just to reference back to earlier episodes, we do now have merch. Ray and I are adorning our Split Personalities crew necks. If you like them, you can buy them. And you can reach out to either Ray or myself. You can find us on Instagram. Just direct message us. That's the easiest way to do this.
For sure.
If you would like to support the podcast, you can first like and subscribe. And after you do that, you can find in the descriptions of our videos our link to, if you're a real one, you'll support us on Patreon.
For sure.
If you can't do that, we do accept one-time donations on PayPal. Support the pod, guys. I mean, this is not our 9 to 5, but we would like it to be our 9 to 5. We're trying to grow the Split Personalities empire. And we need your help to do so.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, I did post, I'm saying this on the video, I haven't done it yet, but by the time this video comes out, I've been playing around with the AI image generator.
Yes.
And I have one for today's topic. And it is a topic that is, so you'll have seen it on Instagram by the time you click into this video. But
many of you, I'm assuming, I've deciphered.
The last video we did was Cowboy Bebop, and I had the AI. I use CapCut. That's a video editor that I've been using. I'm a little pissed off at CapCut, by the way. Like, their long to short feature is not working, and I'm really pissed off about it. But I found a workaround to that. Anyways, if you tuned into our Cowboy Bebop episode and you follow us on Instagram, you saw that I posted a poster that was Cowboy Bebop themed, and I think I'm going to start doing this for a lot of our topics, where I will hint at what we're going to discuss next by creating a fun poster with Ray and I, our visages on there, and by the theme of the image, you'll know if you're an insider, you'll figure out what the topic is for that day.
Right.
So. For this episode, I posted one that's very gothic themed, and it fits our top end. And Ray and I are kind of vampirish in that. And it's because today we're going to be talking about a video game Ray's a little bit more versed in. This is interesting because this is now a topic where I'm gonna give the reins over to Ray here.
Leading more.
Ray's gonna be leading the discussion a little bit more because he's a little bit more versed in this. But we're talking about Legacy of Kain.
Right. So we're in the Halloween kind of season right now. I don't know when exactly this will be released.
It'll be posted literally on Halloween.
Oh,
it's actually the perfect topic to discuss because it will come out. It's a video game series about vampires. Next Friday. We're filming a week before. Next Friday will be the 31st, Halloween. So this will be a perfect time for you to consume this content.
Posture right here. I feel like I've been putting this one off because it, like Metal Gear Solid, is very convoluted.
It's hard to discuss.
In a weird way, it's less convoluted than Metal Gear Solid, even though there's a lot of time travel and paradox thrown in there.
Right. I actually watched it back, and I was like, because I remember, Legacy of Kain, right? We're talking Blood Omen. We're going to not deal with Blood Omen 2. Blood Omen, Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2. We're going to avoid Defiance, even though that wasn't that bad of a game.
Right.
and it fits better with the canonical Blood Omen Soul Reavers. But I remember I was watching like the lore of 2 and the plot and the cutscenes back, and it's not as like over the top. I got lost in Metal Gear Solid. I did not feel like I got lost in
Yeah,
Soul
there would be dialogue and it'd be like, I don't even know what's going on. So
yeah. Right.
I don't even know
with Metal Gear.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know who these groups are. Like
yeah, Lalo.
Yeah. Say that 5 times fast.
Okay, that gets cut into short. I'm really going to work on that text.
So no, so in a weird way, yeah, Halloween themed vampires, but it's like so removed from that because it's almost a disservice to just call it like a vampire sort of game because they are vampires that exist in this incredibly diverse lore-filled world.
Yeah, I had forgotten. Like, they're essentially, if you've played the games, and the great thing about this versus, like, I feel like Hideo Kojima, like, to just reference Metal Gear Solid because that's what we just brought up, and they're both very dynamic and dense worlds and plots. I feel like Hideo Kojima will play with later games to try to shoehorn them to fit in with his earlier plots. Like, I don't have a great example of this, but it just feels like his games, you really have to stretch the realm of believability to make sense.
Yeah, because they're supposed to exist in the actual world. This is total fairy tale.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously vampires.
And I just feel like he has plot holes in the first few games where he tries to backfill them in later games, and I just don't think Hideo Kojima does a great job of doing that.
Right.
And whereas with Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen, Soul Reaver 1 and 2, like straight from Blood Omen, they reference the black heart of Giannis Aldrin, which becomes an important thing throughout the series. And it's just so, it just feels like when you play Soul Reaver 2, if you've played the other two, because Giannis Aldrin comes back into play in that, and the Black Heart, it's like, it just fits. Like they do not, they kept the through line. Like they just keep it, it's consistent.
I would say up to 2, like everything works. And then like, I feels like Defiance like has to like shoehorn in a lot of like, wrapping up certain plot points and things like that. Right. But anyways, it's interesting because anyone who does know the series, which I feel like this is, I mean, there's so many video games out there, but I feel like this is even to video games fans, this is a very niche video game, which is another reason I was like hesitant to do it because like you either don't know about Legacy of Kain or you're a super fan.
Actually, they remastered
1 and 2 apparently.
Yeah, Soul Reaver 1 and 2. So like you should go play those.
For the Wii?
It's on Nintendo Switch, and also PlayStation.
It says the Wii. I was like, is the Wii still a thing?
Yeah. I looked at it and it's like okay, they remastered it, but not to like what's the game I'm thinking of with the spores? Last of Us. It's not like a Last of Us remastered game where that's like it looks like it could have been made 2 years ago. They just like slightly updated the graphics in this like old game.
And even for people who have played like the Soul Reaver games, I'm sure there is a huge segment that don't even realize there's a game that exists before those games.
Oh yeah. So I remembered a quick tangent here. I remember we had to download. Ray and I bought. We could, like, I guess PlayStation, there was a Legacy of Kain Blood Omen on PlayStation.
It's so hard to find.
It was so hard to find. I can't remember. We gave up trying to find it, but we found the PC version, which is what Ray played. Ray's the expert here in this topic. But I remember we had to download a certain program to dumb the computer down. I don't know a better word for it. We had to
can't remember.
We had to convert the computer to an older operating system almost in order to run the game.
Yeah, we had to like jerry rig the operating system in a way.
Yeah, we had to jerry rig the computer so Ray could play the game because I remember we installed this game and it just would not run. We could not figure out why it would not run.
Yeah, kind of like load and then crash. I feel like.
Yeah, it wasn't meant for the computer we played it on, but like
eventually I did find the
third-party thing. Oh, well, you found a PS version? Did you buy the PS version?
Yeah, I have a PlayStation copy.
Did you ever play it?
I can't remember where I got it from.
Did you ever play it on the PS?
I think I only played all the way through on... Maybe I played all the way through on PlayStation. I can't remember.
Okay, sorry, I cut you off. You were gonna
Anyways, like there is a game that exists before
Soul Reaver.
Soul Reavers,
And most people would not know that.
Which, if you ever play the Soul Reaver game and you like see the title before Soul Reaver, where it's like Legacy of Kain, it's like,
Right.
well, that's kind of weird, but well, whatever. There's a reason for that.
Kain. Yeah, it's just, well, they do introduce Kain
Yeah.
right off the bat, but yeah.
Because there's a game that exists and called Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain Blood Omen. And
I am surprised that they kept a lot of the voice actors together for all of them.
Yeah.
Even to be honest, even Defiance brings like that
Yeah,
cast of voice. The voice acting, by the way, like this is on par of like film voice acting.
This is the thing that probably maybe why I really loved it and you have to think mid 90s because the original game came out I think in 96. But like no one was doing, people were hiring like skilled actors to like be part of video games back then. It didn't mean like actors didn't, like in the Fallout series, like the guy who intros the Fallout series like is a pretty famous actor.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get to Fallout eventually, but
Warren I don't know anything about Fallout.
Okay, this will be another thing. I haven't played Fallout 1 and 2, but I could probably talk about it.
I just remember watching you play it.
Anyways,
for hours. Just like what was that other space game you played forever?
Space. I mean, Fallout's not really space.
Huh?
Fallout's not really space.
No, it's not. It wasn't Fallout. It was like there were 3 parts of this game. It was like a role playing. Bethesda made it. It was a role playing game.
Oh, Mass Effect.
Yes.
I loved Mass Effect 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever played the third one.
Anyways, this is Ray's real house here.
Okay.
I'm gonna let him keep leading here, but I will say that like I remember watching recently. I have a daughter. Ray has a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
We recently watched Beauty and the Beast, and one of the voice actors in that movie does the voice acting for the god of the Legacy of Kain. He's not really a god. You kind of find out he's a parasite, but he's like the godlike figure in the game who's trying to tell Raziel what to do and like his tasks. And the wheel, he's like, the wheel of fate must turn. And he's like really anti-vampire. Anyways, he's a voice actor in Beauty and the Beast. And so it's like, okay, so they have like Hollywood they have like serious voice actors on this. That's just an example of like the level of voice acting.
And Beauty and the Beast would have came out 3 years before this.
So this came out in 95, right?
96.
So
he's probably voice acting around the time. I don't know how long the project took to complete, but like around the time that Beauty and the Beast was coming out.
Yeah. I mean, like they have some serious voice acting chops in the game.
Anyways.
Which makes it.
Yeah. I would say the way you have to picture like the dialogue is like Shakespearean in a way, the way that it's delivered.
I was listening back to some of these cutscenes, and I'm like, the vocab in these games. I'm like, people today in 2025, like you watch a lot of stuff, and I'll just say, I feel like people playing it today would not understand the words that are being spoken,
right?
Because the vocab is just so. The words are like 3 to 4 syllable words that are being used.
And I might even read off some quotes eventually here.
It's just
where you can get a sense of it.
Whoever wrote the game, the script, Chef's Kiss, the dialogue is just amazing.
And they really needed good voice actors, I think, to deliver the kind of
it had to be
dialogue.
Serious. Like Ray said, it is Shakespearean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's start Blood Omen 1, which is probably like a game a lot of the fans of the Soul Reaver games like skipped over, maybe not even knowing existed.
Most people's introduction was probably Soul Reaver.
I think like when Blood Omen 2 came out, I was like, what is this? What 2? What does that mean? Like, because Blood Omen 2 kind of came out between Defiance right after Soul Reaver 2.
So let me think about the timeline here. In 1995, I think is when Blood Omen came out on PC.
Early 2000,
late 90s is when Soul Reaver was introduced. It was on the PlayStation 1. And then Soul Reaver 2 was an earlier game in the PlayStation 2 lifespan. So that was in the early 2000s. And then there was like a long gap. I feel like a few years went by before they revisited that series. And I can't remember the studio that did Blood Omen 2, but it felt like the wrong people were in charge of that game.
Right.
It was not a good game. Now, they had a lot of the voice actors back, but like it just was a bad game. I don't know.
Right. So Yeah, it wasn't great. So we're not going to talk about. Also, we're not going to talk about Define.
So
we're
really,
focus
we're
on
really
Blood
living
Omen,
in the world of 95, 98, and like early 2000s.
Early 2001, 2, I think, was when Soul Reaver 2 came out. But so we start off where Blood Omen really sets the stage for the world of Nosgoth, which is where this whole game series takes place. So anytime you hear Nosgoth, that's just the world that they exist in. It'd be like saying Earth. So they live in the world of Nosgoth. A little bit of backstory that you eventually get as you play through the game series. There are, before pre-recorded history, 2 races, the vampires, who at this time did not drink blood. They
also, I don't get the sense
they were able to live and die.
Yeah, they were not immortal.
They were not immortal. We'll get to that. They did not drink blood, and they were able to reproduce. Now, they had these angelic wings, and I think their skin was fair at this time.
It's like, if you see Giannis Aldrin, he looks more like Raziel than like Kain.
So you have the vampires, and then you have this other group called the Hilden. Now, they eventually get into conflict because the humans exist somewhere here. Like, they're just like some third race that
lower race.
I think that kind of serves maybe both. I think mostly the vampires, but anyways, these 2 get into conflict over the god that Bob brought up, who has this thing about the Wheel of Fate, where people are born, they die, their soul is then fed back into this Wheel of Fate, and the wheel must always keep turning, and it's like death, rebirth, kind of like Buddhism kind of like thing. So the wheel must always be fed. So this god really relies on that life cycle of death and rebirth. So that's the god's angle. The vampires worship this god at this time. And the Hilden, for whatever reason, don't want to worship this guy. I think they're more like kind of like science-based, or like
they
maybe
look
more
like,
than...
I don't know if they before they were banished, did they look like...
I think they looked different. I think they were...
more human?
Well, they always kind of looked like they did, but like they definitely got corrupted. Well,
they look like demons when they come back. They look like what you would think like...
Yeah, I don't know 100% know what exactly. I don't think the game like totally figured that out. Maybe some of like the murals and Defiance.
I mean, the Hilden are really like, you only hear of them like if you watch a lot of the lore. If you go to YouTube and you look up Blood Omen timeline or Legacy of Kain timeline, and you're looking up the lore of it, like one of the videos we watched spent a good amount of time before they even got into the actual events of the game, talking about the war between the vampires and the Hilden. And so, like, you really only get the history if you go looking for it. The game does not, and this is a sign, I believe, of a good game. It makes you work to build up the world. Like,
I also feel like they're trying to figure out the world. Obviously, like.
Well, if you're super specific about something, you can't deviate from it.
Right.
So, like, in a good, like we just talked about last episode, Cowboy Bebop, like the same thing here. Cowboy Bebop does not hold, just like Legacy of Kain, does not hold your hand through the story. It presents a world to you. It presents characters. It presents very captivating conflict between these characters and fate and all and free will, these ideas. And it presents all these things in a very, very what feels like a very large world, but it does not get super specific into certain things, because if they were to do that, they can't deviate from it. And they do adjust, they give you just the right amount, because it's up to the gamer or the player to kind of piece together the story. And you really only get, each game is adding on to the world, right? So Blood Omen, you get a very specific point of view. It's Kain's struggle with his own destiny and whether or not he, spoiler alert, whether or not he's going to kill himself to save Nosgoth or
Right.
let him be a king in this destroyed world.
Right.
Versus Raziel brings in a whole new dynamic, which you do not start to understand until Soul River 2, but he is a part of this whole this whole plan that Kain has constructed to buck their fate. Like
Right.
Raziel is an extremely important
Mhm.
piece on the chessboard for Kain because he requires Raziel to break this wheel, essentially.
Right. So that might be another good thing. Like to just kind of, since you brought it up, dive into like is
There's three groups, like Ray said: the Hilden, vampires, humans.
right.
Just remember that.
Right. And then the idea of free will.
Yeah.
Now, the way it exists in this world is that one, it's really hard to change things, change history, which we'll get into. But if you do, in the reference that it's like throwing a pebble into the stream. Yes, the stream will be altered slightly, but it will adjust. The
Right.
flow, it will flow around the pebble.
The water,
the
right.
events that are supposed to happen will always inevitably happen.
And you see this at times in the game, right? There are times where, like, literally they will make a choice and the environment around them will shake. And it's essentially Kain is telling Raziel, who at
Right.
the time doesn't understand what's going on.
Essentially a paradox event.
Yeah, we've just shifted the events, but the world still exists around us. So history has not like the world that we exist in has not completely crumbled based on the paradox we've introduced.
Right. Yeah. The
But we
events
have
that
shifted the history.
You might have like delayed some events, but like key events that are supposed to happen will happen. That's how this world
Right.
operates, which is why that idea of free will is very important in like philosophically to like the story. But yeah, let's get to Blood Omen, where the pre-story is where you got three groups. You got humans who are, I believe are just kind of like serving in the background, serving vampires. You got the Hilden, who do not like this god character, this elder god character, the Wheel of Fate god. And they are battling against the vampires who are worship, like, you know, heavily worship this god. And so they battle for, I think, centuries maybe. And then eventually the Hilden are working on their own, like, kind of apocalyptic weapon or something that's
Right.
referenced. And the vampires are also working on something. The vampires are just quicker than the Hilden. And what they work on is the resurrecting of the 9 pillars of Nosgoth.
Wait, so those existed pre-vampire?
No, the vampires they
build them.
They built them. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought
They some sort of spell that
they construct the
that
pillars.
constructs these pillars. The pillars are essentially like, they're on the ground. I think they're even underneath the ground in catacombs. But they
they
shoot
are
up,
because that's where that thing lives.
yeah, they shoot up into the sky, and they're almost like they're never ending. You can never see the end point of these pillars. They just go on and on forever into space, essentially, if there's space in this universe. But
Essentially, the pillars work as a barrier.
Yeah.
Like they banish the
Hilden
to some other
to
reality.
some demon reality or something.
Yeah, some other world somehow.
But before the Hilden are banished, they also place a curse on the vampires.
Yes, the blood curse.
One, it's a blood. They place a blood curse on them, where they now have to feed on people, like for blood, for sustenance to survive.
Right.
They are now also immortal,
Which really pisses off this god.
which cuts their connection to the Wheel of Fate and to their god,
Right.
which is huge. I mean, a lot of the vampires just up and kill themselves because of this, because of their religious devotion.
And like you said, I think initially they were upset by this because they were more devout than the Hilden. Like,
Right.
they were devout to this god parasite thing that exists in this world, whereas
Right.
the Hilden were
The
not.
Hilden did not, in a weird way, they had it right because.
So I
with
wonder,
this
like,
god.
if the god. Part of me wonders if, like, initially if this god were on the side of the vampires because they were devout and
they could live and die. Yeah.
But I'm like, did he give them the technology to create the pillars?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Like, he didn't understand.
It doesn't seem like he's referenced at all in the creation of the pillars.
But that's where his home is, basically. At least that's where he's depicted in Soul Reaver 2. Raziel travels inside into the catacombs, like underground, where he realizes like he's underneath the pillars because the pillars are underground and they're he's underneath the construct of the pillars.
Which also say the elder god is essentially, I don't know if we said this, he's just this giant octopus creature.
Which Raziel, I keep referencing him as a parasite, is Raziel openly questions at one point in Soul Reaver 2 if he's a god or if he's just a parasite living off of the earth. Like if he's living off of the souls that feed the wheel are his sustenance, whereas like blood is the vampire sustenance.
Yeah, I think the question is also brought up. It's like, did he create the wheel, or is he a parasite that found it and is now feeding off of it?
Right.
Which creating conflict, like a war between two races, would be a great way to feed off of a wheel of fate, where a lot of souls are fed into the wheel.
Right. But this is why he also is a fan of or a supporter of the Seraphan, which is a human. This is a religious fanatic religious group. Anyways, he becomes a fan of humans because humans are out to kill vampires, and he doesn't like vampires because the vampires are starving him.
He has no more use for them anymore because
they're essentially starving him by not feeding the wheel.
Yeah, they're no longer attached to this wheel. So anyways, like the Hilden cursed vampires, there are three things that happen to vampires. They now have a thirst for blood. They cannot die. They're immortal unless someone kills them or have to kill themselves. And they can no longer reproduce, which is very important to the pillars, because the way the pillars are designed, were assigned guardians to the pillars. Yeah. And once a guardian dies, the pillar will just up and select another guardian right at, like, literally as that person is dying. Wherever people are being born in the world, the pillar will select literally someone being born at that moment to eventually grow up and take over.
Which brings us to Blood Omen. Kain is Ariel, who is the guardian of balance, is murdered by the necromancer. What was his name?
Well,
like the guy who's the last boss in Blood Omen.
Yeah. So that's here we'll get to that, because that's a setup. So this is the backstory that leads into the Blood Omen, is now the humans. The humans have to be. The pillars start choosing humans. Yes, because they can be born. Right. Once one of these vampire guardians dies, boom, now a human. And what happens is the vampires now will find these whoever the pillar selected, the human guardian, and will change them into vampires once they grow to full age, so they can keep it in control of vampires. You don't really learn this until later, but
I didn't even know that
human beings degrade the pillars. It has to be. The pillars really need a vampire guardian.
They were not meant. It's just like he makes a point. Kain makes a, or Raziel makes a point about the Soul Reaver. It was not meant for human hands.
And the pillars were not meant to be guarded by humans, I guess, for whatever reason. But
I guess it makes sense if you think of the idea of, a pillar was meant to be assigned to somebody maybe for life. And now I guess that's not entirely true, because vampires could be born and die, early on before the blood curse. I don't know. I wonder if the pillars, to some degree, change in their nature because of the change that happens to vampires. It makes sense to me, the idea.
When they were erected, they're erected by vampires, probably.
Right. But I'm thinking of, does the impurity of the blood curse impact the pillars? Because now are the pillars meant? That's a good question. Are the pillars now meant to be guarded by somebody for a longer period of time than what?
Oh,
you know what I mean? Because
they must not have been, because the vampires at the time had. the pillars were, the idea was that, vampires could live and die, and the pillars were designed in a way that they would just choose another guardian when someone died.
Okay.
But the vampires were cursed immediately.
It's just the fact that the humans can.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember. So, like, that's an interesting thing that Ray brings up, because in my understanding of Blood Omen is all of the people who are the 9 guardians at the time are human. They're not vampires.
Yeah. No, they're not. But it's hinted at, or like maybe even blatantly stated, that really the guardians of the pillars need to be vampires. Like if it were
intended initially,
if it were all human for too long,
they would which Kain does make that point.
Collapse.
Right?
Yeah.
Kain says to Raziel at one point, because Raziel chastises Kain for choosing himself over Nosgoth in the original Blood Omen.
Mm-hmm.
And Kain responds to Raziel saying, "It didn't really matter what choice I made; the pillars were going to crumble. Because had I sacrificed myself, which he doesn't, he chooses to live, and the pillars just are disintegrate. But he says, had he even done that, had he died, the pillars would continue to choose guardians and crumble anyways. They would degrade."
Yeah. So I'm trying to think where we are here.
So we haven't even really gotten
in Blood Omen.
Blood Omen opens up. Here's the scene. Okay. Blood Omen, we don't know anything about this world. We get no context. And suddenly we are introduced to these, these CGI cutscenes. The technology has advanced a lot since then. But essentially, Vorador, who we don't know at the time, but this sort of old vampire, attacks the Seraphan Citadel, and he is out. And we learn later on why he attacks the Citadel. He attacks it because Janos Aldrin has been killed.
Yeah.
But he's attacking the Citadel essentially to kill the Pillar Guardians as a revenge for Janos Aldrin's death.
And he wipes out there are 9 Pillar Guardians. He wipes out 4 of them.
He's almost knocked out half of the pillars, right? And then it's up to Kain to do the rest of them,
right? He'll eventually have to kill 9 again because.
Oh, that's true. So then it cuts to we're in the gameplay. Kain starts off in a bar. You're playing him. A dialogue is had. He's asking for a pint for a weary traveler. Cheers.
A mug of ale.
And
from distant Cornhagen.
And the bartender's basically like, "Hey, bleep off. Like these are our bad times, and there are monsters about, and yada yada yada." So he closes the pub early. Unbeknownst to Kain, he leaves the pub, and there are assassins waiting for him.
Right.
He's killed. Another cutscene ensues, and we are then introduced to Mortanius, I think is his name.
Yes, Mortanius. Kain is killed. He's all of a sudden depicted in hell, which I guess we don't really get to see again till maybe Defiance. But Mortanius, what is his?
He's like a necromancer.
Mortanius the necromancer. He is the Pillar Guardian of Death.
I should mention, why, of course, he greets Kain in death.
Yeah, I should mention just off the bat, 9 pillars. So we got the Pillar of Balance, Pillar of the Mind, Pillar of Conflict, Pillar of Dimension, Pillar of Nature, Pillar of Energy, Pillar of States, Pillar of Time, Pillar of Death. Did I mention Balance? Balance is the one that really is important to hold them all together.
Right.
And so, so we see Kain is then killed.
And actually, there is a 10th pillar, which we are introduced in Soul Reaver 2. The 10th pillar is Janos Aldrin, who is the Soul Reaver, essentially.
Yeah.
The Guardian of the Soul Reaver.
10th Guardian, but I don't know if that works the same way with it. Well, I don't think it picks like another person.
I think there's a question of whether Ariel is initially in this game, Blood Omen. She's the person killed in the opening scenes, which corrupts the pillars.
Right.
The question is it her death or Janos's death that because in Soul Reaver 2, Vorador approaches Raziel and says, You showed up right before the corrupted pillars. The pillars were corrupted, and so Vorador was unsure of Raziel when he meets him in Soul Reaver 2, and that set off something in my mind. I'm like, oh, well, Janos is the 10th pillar, so technically he's the first pillar to be killed. So does that corrupt the pillars?
I don't know that it ever is said. Here's what happens, or like this is canon as far as I understand it, is that Ariel, the Balance Guardian, may be the most important of the Pillar Guardians. She is murdered intentionally by a mysterious figure we don't know yet. But she is also the lover of the Nupraptor, the Mentalist, who is the Pillar Guardian of the Mind. So the Mind Pillar. And the Pillar Guardians must have some sort of symbiotic relationship to one another, because he goes mad, and by him going mad, he then drives the rest of
an important point too.
He drives the rest of the Pillar Guardians mad. And all of a sudden the pillars they're just these beautiful white pillars that go into the sky. They turn from white to cracking, and they go like darken, yeah.
And this is an important point that Ray brings up about Nutraptor's madness. It also impacts Kain because his destiny is corrupted by the madness.
Yeah, as soon as Ariel is killed, we find out at the very end of the game that Kain was the new Balance Guardian, chosen at birth, the moment that Ariel dies. So anyways, by the time we get to Kain, adult Kain, the pillars have been corrupted. 30 years prior, Vorador had killed a bunch of the Guardians. There are now new Guardians that took their place. And so Kain is then killed outside of a tavern. We're trying to get that mug of ale. He didn't get it. Nope. And he's killed outside a tavern. And then we see him depicted in hell. All of a sudden, Mortinius, the Pillar Guardian of Death, pulls the sword out from his chest and then offers him the opportunity to be resurrected and to seek revenge. Right. We don't know Mortinius' motives at this point. We figure that out later. But Kain is just like bloodthirsty. He just wants revenge for these people are just up and murdered him.
He's been wronged.
Yeah, he has been wronged.
It's a fresh wound.
He doesn't even think about it. He accepts it on the spot. All of a sudden, he is resurrected as a vampire.
With the Heart of Darkness.
We find out later, with the Heart of Darkness, Janos Aldrin's heart
was implanted in him.
Yes.
Which Mortinius must have stolen from the Seraphim, because the Seraphim had held
Well, he was part... Mortinius and... we find out later the Time Guardian. What is his name?
Yeah.
Mobius. The two of them were the two that overthrew the vampires. So they're two OG human guardians who were going to be turned into vampires, and then overthrew their vampire overlords. And he helped Mobius with this crusade by establishing the Seraphim.
The vampires are on the brink of extinction.
Yeah, they're on the
brink of extinction by the time that Kain is turned into.
By the time we're in this world, Vorador is probably the most powerful of them.
It's a world now. Nosgoth is a world now ruled by humans.
Right.
At this point. The Hilden were banished. The vampires were essentially on the brink of extinction because humanity turned against them.
Right. And if you ever heard the term Seraphim, it just means an army that was raised to specifically fight vampires.
Yes.
That is the Seraphim.
Are like fanatics.
They're like knights.
They're religious fanatics, essentially, who have been led to believe that the vampires are their enemies.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of like the intro cutscene is like them, the Seraphim, putting vampires on spikes. And you just see this whole field of vampires spiked to death.
Yeah. Later on, we learn we see that Malik, who's like the Knight of the Nine Guardians, their protector, he's a Seraphim. Like we see him in Soul Reaver. He's buried with the other Seraphim.
Yeah. Malik is the guardian of the conflict pillar. But all right. So going forward, Kain's resurrected. He immediately goes and kills the people who murdered him.
The plot's pretty simplistic.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea behind, and oddly, Soul Reaver 1 follows the same path, where you as the character of Kain have been put on a mission by Ariel,
Right.
The ghost, like Ariel's
Well,
ghost.
he doesn't know this yet. He kills the people who killed him, and then Mortanius all of a sudden speaks to him. He's like, "No, your quest is not done. You haven't found the real reason behind your murder or whatever. You have to go to the pillars." He goes to the pillars, and when he goes to the pillars, I believe Ariel must have been killed at the pillars because her ghost is now
her ghost never leaves,
bound to the pillars.
She's you get to feel pretty bad for her as the series goes along. She's really stuck there. You know, you run into her
every game. You see her at least once or twice, and she's always around the pillars because she can't leave them.
She's floating around.
She is bound to them.
She's like
forever.
that character from Harry Potter who can never leave the bathroom.
Right. Exactly.
So anyways, this plot of Blood Omen is fairly simplistic in the sense that when Kain does learn of his fate, he is put on this mission after going to the pillars. Mortanius tells him to go to the pillars. He goes to the pillars. He learns from Ariel that in order to restore the integrity of the pillars, to turn them back to white, they're all darkened and cracked, to restore them, he needs to now go kill each of the guardians. And so the game revolves around you. It does. I will say this about Legacy of Kain: despite its graphical limitations at the time, it does make the world feel huge.
Yeah, it's pretty big. There are like secrets hidden. Like it's almost. I don't want to say it's exactly RPG. Maybe it is. Because you can walk around the world or go anywhere you want.
Things that you do not. You can find things and unlock them that don't require you to complete the story.
Yeah. Like you can go mess around and like revisit parts of like the huge map,
find caves and like secret weapons and like secret powers.
To a degree, it is RPG, but for the most part, it follows like a pretty straight linear path.
Yeah.
So obviously he kills all the. I mean. I don't know if we go one by one, but like he first goes to kill Nuptraptor the Mentalist, and I do love this quote. This is going to be the first guardian that he goes and takes on and take out. He says
Ariel's lover.
Yeah, she sends him to go kill him first, Nuptraptor. Kain says the Mentalist Nuptraptor was renowned through Nosgoth for his tricks of the mind, telepathy, and telekinesis. Pilgrims traveled from all across the land seeking comfort in his lies. I sought not his wisdom, but his life.
Nice. Legacy of Kain, all of the games are known for their quotes. The dialogue is just absolutely amazing. Yeah,
and it's pretty graphic too, because when Nuptraptor goes mad, he sews his eyes shut and his mouth shut.
Yeah. He's a very grotesque figure. Even when you early on see him before you encounter him, there's like a worm hanging from his eye or something.
Yeah. You go to Nuptraptor's retreat, which is a giant skull that's kind of just carved in the mountain. It's pretty cool. Like thing. You can even see it like later on in Silver Reaver 1 and 2, I think. You see like the ruins of Nuptraptor's retreat in Silver Reaver 1. But you go to his little skull cave place, and you go to kill him. There is one cool part of it where you can look out the eyes of the skull, and which kind of like reflects the choice at the very end of the game, where you can on the right hand side, looking out the skull, you can see Nazgul like flush, green, beautiful world, and on the left, a decayed world. Which really reflects, kind of foreshadows the decision at the end. But
the two sides of the coin.
Exactly. So he fights Nuptraptor. Before he fights Nuptraptor, actually Malik is there. We should say when Vorador killed those 4 guardians, right after Janos was killed, Malik is supposed to be the one who protects the other guardians.
He was punished, essentially.
He was essentially punished. You see him like kind of chained up, just like his human form, and then his soul is taken out of his body and infused into just a suit of armor. Right. And you just see his like skeleton left behind. So he's literally just a suit of armor. He
was killed by by Mortanius for having failed the circle.
So he has a huge motivation to never let a member of the Nine die again. But Nutraptor's just like, go away. I'm going to deal with this on my own.
Yeah. I think Nutraptor secretly obviously wants to die.
Yeah.
He's welcoming death.
You kill Nutraptor and you... Kain takes his head.
And brings it back to the pillar.
He does say another good line where he says, "Oh, Nutraptor, I knew thee well." Sort of.
Yeah.
Well, not really.
Right.
Before he offers it to the pillar, which then clears the pillar.
Right. The pillar is now cleansed. And
yeah.
It's turned ivory white again.
Right. And so then the next guy that Kain goes after is Malik. Now he finds Malik at his like little castle, which is kind of like up somewhere in like the hills where it's like really snowy or whatever. And Malik has taken, maybe it has like some sort of distaste maybe for the flesh now, because the soldiers who used to reside there and guard the castle are frozen to death. He has not cared for the soldiers there, or at least I think even some of the soldiers have been even their souls taken and fused to armor as well. But anyways, you go to fight Malik. Turns out bad. Like you cannot figure out how to defeat him.
You have to run away. You have to run away.
You know? Yeah, which then leads you to go seek out. I think Ariel might even say like go seek the guidance of the Oracle or something.
Right. Who we learn later is
Mobius, the time streamer, who is probably the most devious character in this entire game series.
Yeah. At least Kain seems devious and evil, but at least his purpose is altruistic.
Right. Well, I would say
in a sense.
Maybe, I guess.
I mean, I feel like you do like lean towards. I also can't. I mean, the whole point of Defiance is he's going to try to save Raziel.
Right. I feel like when he makes the decision, though. Okay, well, I mean, then we'll get to this. Not to kill himself. Like he doesn't know the whole story. He kind of is doing it selfishly. I like Kain because
he grows though as a series.
Yeah, he eventually makes an argument for not wiping out the environment.
Right. At the time that he makes the decision, he didn't have all the cards in his deck. But like he comes to learn that he kind of made the right decision.
Right. But I think that's why I really love Kain is maybe like this game is because you really, I mean, he's a pure anti-hero. He seems incredibly selfish and self-centered. Later on, he does develop some good arguments for like his decisions, but in the very first game and even throughout the series, like he seems incredibly self-interested.
Yeah.
And humans are just pawns to play with to him. But anyways, he has to go to the Oracle to figure out how do I beat Malik. The Oracle goes on this weird diatribe about King Otmar, which we'll eventually get to. King Otmar the Useless. He
versus William the Just.
Yeah, exactly. So Kane's like, what's going on with this Otmar stuff? I'm just here to figure out who is Malik and how do I defeat him. And the Oracle.
That's the weird side quest of the game is you go to help King Otmar essentially revive his daughter. Right.
Well, that happens like a little, like that's another foreshadowing moment because eventually you are going to meet this guy and you have to like get his help. But it is a weird side quest. But he is like, go seek Vorador. Vorador is the only one who's ever defeated him. Like maybe he can tell you. So he goes to Vorador's mansion in some woods that can only be. You have to follow this like this green lit path. The path of the Igubus Facius is what Oracle says. I think to follow something like that.
I don't know.
And you find Vorador in his mansion. Now, the interesting thing about vampires that exist in this world is that if you're a human, so the vampires originally are these creatures that have like 3-digit fingers. They are angelic, like, so like kind of different from humans. So when they then are cursed and have to change humans into vampires, an interesting thing happens where the longer a human is a vampire, they evolve, and their 5 digits will eventually turn into 3.
Like the Ninja Turtles.
Exactly. They'll develop fangs and have each of them will have kind of different reactions to
You see
the
this
blood
in Soul
curse.
Reaver 1.
Because you see Vordor is just covered in green hair. I mean, it looks like
Yeah.
it's hard to describe. It looks like what would I don't even know. He's covered in this green fur essentially. He has like these ears that like stick up like this, like pointy ears.
He was human before, right?
He was human.
Vorador, his arc, his story is he forged the Soul Reaper.
Yeah, he was
and for his
a blacksmith, and for doing so, he was
transitioned into he was maybe one of the original humans turned vampire.
Yeah, like he wanted, to be
He's
be
rewarded.
A vampire.
Essentially,
It was a reward to him, and he's
the oldest of them outside of Giannis Ultron.
outside of Giannis. After Giannis is killed, like he becomes, by the time you meet him, he's the oldest vampire,
right,
in the game.
He lives in like the
franchise.
Anyways, like Kain seeks him out and finds him.
So Vordor doesn't really give him any like tips or answers. He scoffs at him for getting involved in the affairs of humans,
right,
and tells him not to do so. And Vordor has like a huge distaste for humans. I mean, vampires only have to really drink human blood, but in the scene, you see him like pick off a finger of a human, just up and eat it.
Right.
Like he doesn't have to do that, but I think it like really shows just how like the utter distaste he has.
I
for
think
humanity.
part of that's because he understands that the humans were servants of the vampires, like that they were allies of the vampires.
No, he calls them cattle.
Right. I mean, like he's come to see them that way.
Yeah.
But like it's his. I guess my point is his disdain for humanity is he's old enough to know what the relationship between human and vampire was before.
Right.
The Seraphim.
Right. And you see kind of like a change at start with Kain in this moment. Because Vordor is essentially saying we vampires are like gods in this world. And Kain, in the very beginning of the game, is originally trying to find a cure. Or at least that's what he tells Ariel. I only seek a cure. Ariel is kind of like tongue-in-cheek about it, where she kind of is like, well, there really isn't a cure, but she also says, if you complete this quest for me with killing all these guardians, then you will find the peace you seek. Kind
right.
of like
hinting that like his death is like going to be the peace.
Yeah. So she's kind of like, she doesn't say she exactly like, I don't know. She kind of both says like, no, like there's no cure, but also like, but there will be a reward or something.
Yeah,
You'll
she's
get
just
something
trying to get
out
him
of
to
it.
do what she wants.
Yeah. So, but you see this change in Kain when he meets Vordor, where he's like agreeing with Vordor. He's like, he's right. We are gods. And humans' prayers are prayers to us. I guess some sort of line like that. Vordor doesn't really give him any good advice on beating Malik, but he does give him a ring that can summon Vordor for assistance at any moment. Vordor says, you're a fledgling vampire, but I would hate to see one of our kind lost, and you are kind of wayward and lost by serving these humans,
Right.
or like getting involved in the affairs of humans.
Yeah.
So take this ring if you need help. You can call me. They then go to. This is where I lose it. Hold on. I did have to create like a little outline because I'm like, what happens next? Go see, or he then goes to, I think Avernath Cathedral. And I can't remember why he goes there. Someone either points him in that direction, or I don't know. But essentially, one of the Pillar Guardians resides there, and it is Azimuth, the Dimension, a guardian, Pillar Guardian, and I think she had stumbled upon. I might be wrong about this, but somehow she had stumbled upon a time streaming device. And when you go to like fight her, you see these demons, and she has all these creatures. And it's alluded to that she has traveled throughout time to collect these creatures. And so they're even attacking the town outside of the cathedral, I think, too. So you defeat all her demons and her. And I think in this moment, too, you all of a sudden stumble upon this weird room where the sword is just placed. I think next to like a statue or something.
In Soul Reaver 2, it's at the burial place of William.
Right. Because William had a
that's the initial paradox that causes all the issues, is that Kain, well, we'll get into it, but like,
so
yeah,
you see this sword there, and it seems oddly, I feel like it's hinted that's oddly placed, like it was meant to be found. And I think you find out later that Mobius wants him to have the sword. Which you find out later when he squares up against William the Just. But
does he fix? Wait, he gets the sword at some point.
Yeah, he gets it while he's going after. I'm pretty sure this guardian.
Does he fix it then?
No, it's totally intact.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, I think it's sitting right in front of like a statue or something, or maybe I feel like there's this angelic statue. It might even be holding it. I'm not 100%, can't 100% remember, but Kain, there's another good line where Kain talks about the Soul Reaver, because this is what he has just found, the sword that's called the Soul Reaver, which is going to be a huge fixture. Like the games will eventually revolve around this sword.
Yeah.
He says, time fades even legend, and the origin of the Soul Reaver has been long lost ago, but its purpose remains to feed off the souls of any creature it strikes, kindred displayed in eye. So yeah, he has now found the Soul Reaver, and it's now in his possession. When you play with this thing in the game, it's like a 1-kill item. You just like, but the thing is, you don't want to use it because you can't then feed off the enemies you kill.
Oh, okay.
There's a cool feature too in this game in the vampires where like you can slit a human's throat and they'll kind of be like kind of Mortal Kombat days,
like,
and
like circle kind of like standing motion.
Yeah, and Kain doesn't just have to go up and drink from their neck. He has this ability to, like, through telekinesis, just pull the blood out.
Vordor does the same thing.
Vordor does the same thing and just drink from like a distance. He can be like 10 feet away and just be pulling blood out and drinking it.
Right.
Just using telekinesis to like feed it straight to him. Vordor does the same thing.
Yeah.
And
you see that in the opening scene where he says, "Call your dogs," and he's like drinking blood like from a distance.
Yeah, and so that happens. He kills Azimuth. God, I have to check my notes here. And then after that, I feel like you're just traveling around the world, and all of a sudden you see this huge dome, this red dome. And you hear the voice of Mobius, and he's like, "There is a dark something going on in the distance. You have to go like address this now for whatever reason." And it's Dark Eden, and this is where 3 of the Pillar Guardians are, and they're trying to do some sort of ritual. I'm not 100% sure what's going on at the Eden, but they erected this big red dome. And King goes there, and all of a sudden he runs into 3 of the Pillar Guardians. There's Bane, the Guardian of Nature, Dejul, the Guardian of Energy, and Anacroth, the Guardian of States.
One of them flees.
One of them flees. I'm pretty sure it's Anacroth. But Malik is also just shows up. I think he's summoned by the other Guardians to like protect them. And as soon as he shows up, Kain pulls out this ring and summons Vordor. And so Vordor and Malik go at it because Malik blames Vordor for the state he is now, his current state where he's just now a suit of armor and lost his human form. And so they go at it, and while they're fighting, the other 2 Guardians kind of run away, and Kain gives chase to them. And this is where you do a boss battle against 2 of them. Kill them. Somehow, we don't know how, but Vordor has defeated Malik. He has his helmet, and So you've now killed, I think, these 3, and you go to the
So
pillars.
there's only 2 left, right?
Yeah.
At the very end. By the very end there.
You go straight to the pillars, because I think the 2 that are left are Mobius. No, wait. No. Oh, no. Mobius. So you have to take care of Mobius.
There are 3 left.
There are 3 left. Oh,
Mobius, Anacroft, and Mortanius.
So you kill those 3, you go, pillars, blah, blah. You offer them up to the pillars as well. There are 3 left. And so I can't remember exactly how. Oh, now Kain all of a sudden, this thing we had heard about earlier in the game, King Artmar, he's being useless. He's not taking care of, he's not gathering his army together.
Allowing the Nemesis to creep
the
in.
Nemesis, this thing.
William the Just becomes the Nemesis.
Yeah, this thing you heard about even at the very beginning of the game, where there's this threat in like the north or something.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden it's starting to come to your door.
Yeah.
The Nemesis
it's this army that's coming down to Nosgoth to destroy Nosgoth.
Has brought his army to basically the door of like the other kingdoms in Nosgoth. It can no longer be ignored. You need King Artmar to gather his forces so he can wage some sort of counterattack against this force. So then you have to go to King Artmar's kingdom. He's stricken with
his daughter.
Grief because his daughter's soul was taken by some toy master.
She's essentially in a state of internal sleep.
She's in a coma, just laying in front of the on a bed.
I feel like this is not an important part of the story.
Yeah.
You essentially you defeat the person who holds her soul, and she wakes up, and in doing that, you have convinced King Artmar to assemble his army against the Nemesis.
In the chaos that ensues in this battle, the King Artmar's forces are wiped out.
He waited too long to rally.
But gives Kain has enough time to, I guess he's put in a situation where he's also kind of fleeing and is kind of out of like last resort. He's trying to figure out, what am I going to do? All of a sudden he remembers he has this time device from this Azimuth that he killed earlier, and he just like turns it on. He doesn't know exactly where he's going. He just somehow enacts the time streaming device. He goes, I don't know what, 50 years? 50 years into the past.
Right.
Before William becomes the Nemesis.
Right.
He realizes what time period he's in. He's like, oh, well, I'm going to stop the Nemesis by killing him right now before he becomes the Nemesis.
Right. He's trying to save Nosgoth.
And so this is where the idea of actually paradox comes in before it's even really introduced in the game series.
Because Kain holds in his possession the Soul Reaver.
Kain has a Soul Reaver.
Which William at the time also has.
Yeah, there's a scene in
Mobius gives it to him.
Mobius, where you see Mobius give it to him. And I think that's when you realize, wait, this guy's not who he said, the Oracle's not who he said he was. He's actually the Time Guardian. You kind of, piece that together. And he gives William the Soul Reaper. Now, I want to say, I feel like the reason, maybe this does create a paradox. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like the version that William has is actually the Blood Reaver. There's a reason it becomes the Soul Reaver. You find that out in the very end of Game 2. But used to just
Blood Omen 2 or Soul Reaver 2?
Soul Reaver 2. But it used to be just a blood sucking sort of thing.
Okay, I don't recall this.
It did not originally eat souls. But I think, I might be wrong. They might both have the Soul Reaver. But I think the reason Kain is able to defeat William is because he has the Reaver he has is the Soul Reaver. I could be wrong. Actually, I feel like 2 Soul Reavers.
The two
Soul Reavers need to meet to create a paradox. So I probably am wrong about that.
Well, William and Kain face off, right? Well, Kain's trying to kill William to prevent the future from happening in which he's the Nemesis.
He succeeds because William's blade all of a sudden just breaks in half as they're fighting, and
because of this paradox.
He up and kills William. Now, this is where the idea of fate comes in, because it changes the fact that there is no Nemesis, but I feel like it supercharges like the war Mobius wages against vampires. Now this already happened, but I don't know.
Raziel, this is the whole reason why the Seraphim come to exist, and why vampires become a target of humanity. William the Just. Now, this was Mobius's plan all along. He intentionally sends Kain back into time, not to save Nosgoth from the Nemesis, but to make a martyr out of William the Just. And in making a martyr out of him, when Kain comes back into the present later on in Blood Omen, the vampires are now the enemy of humanity because a vampire had killed William the Just.
Right. I think like before this, they were there seemed to be some agreement between. Seraphim kind of like died out a little bit in the version that that Mobius resurrects is kind of like militia version of it.
He creates a militant.
He creates his own like kind of like militia army.
Yeah. A fanatical sort of religious army.
I think it's like it got like originally it was to the point where the Seraphim like had wiped enough of the vampires out where it's like, okay, they're like only a little bit of a threat, right?
Right.
Whereas like with William's death, like it just supercharges
it's this all-out war.
It's like, let's get rid of them all.
Yeah. So Kain eventually comes back to the future, realizes that, that his having killed William has now changed the present and events that have unfolded in the present, and it's changed it against vampires.
Yeah.
And Mobius is in front of a crowd having this big speech about the scourge of the vampires and turning humans against the vampires, and that then leads to Kain turning against Mobius and killing the time.
Well, Kain comes back. The scene Kain comes back to is Mobius has captured Vorador.
Yeah, they behead him, right?
And Vorador's just
he's the last vampire, essentially. They're
beheaded by a guillotine, and then Mobius points to Kain in the crowd and is like, he's the last vampire. They had wiped out pretty much every vampire, and now Kain is the last one.
Right.
Kain, this is where he then fights the Time Streamer. This is that boss battle, and he kills him, cuts his head off.
Which
he has a good line there too. I can't remember. Mobius like looks at him and he says, "I've seen your future, Kain. You die."
Yeah.
And he
which hints later on he was supposed to die. Raziel's hand.
Yeah. Which Kain then says, like something to the effect like, "But I'm already am dead," or something like that, because of so. So, anyways, this then brings us to that. I believe Kain goes back to the pillars, obviously to I think offer up Mobius's little trinket to his thing, but then also when he does so, when he comes back to the pillars, he stumbles upon the scene where the last two are fighting against one another, and they're having a
squabble.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think, hinted at by Mobius that, he is the one who orchestrated this. He is the one who actually killed Ariel years ago to set things off in motion.
Right.
And
Mobius is the most diabolical character in the franchise.
He's both trying to do things, we later find out, he's trying to, the human part of him, we find out he's being controlled by a demon also, one of the Hilden. The human
Mobius?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I knew Mortanius was.
Mortanius, that's who I was talking about.
Yeah.
Mortanius was the Pillar of Death. He's being controlled by a demon, which we later find out is like the Hilden. And his human side is trying to. The reason he resurrected Kain is trying to make amends for wiping out all the vampires. Because they didn't know what they did. By wiping out the vampires, I think he says this in later games, they're literally slitting their own throats.
Yeah, because humanity was not going to keep
humanity couldn't maintain the pillars. So he was both trying to right a wrong and set things in motion to
Right.
like wipe out the other guardians using Kain. Unfortunately, the demon side of him takes over. Kain fight
Both
this
versions.
demon creature. Yeah, you fight both versions, which is weird that he fights against you until he then turns into a demon. But anyways, you fight
I always interpreted that as like maybe he wants to make sure that Kain dies, because you can't be. Mortanius can't be certain that Kain's going to kill himself. Mortanius
human him wouldn't want the vampire to kill himself because he understands the vampires need to be in control of the pillars. I don't think.
Well, doesn't he also want all of the pillars to die?
I don't know what his aim was.
I don't know.
Actually,
anyways, I always interpreted it as like
I think in the first game, he needed to.
Whatever. You finish your job by you almost finish your job by killing Mortanius. He turns into this creature, which is a Hilden creature, and you have to fight that too. You beat him, and then Ariel essentially, Kain thinks his job's done, right?
Right.
And Ariel poses. The game ends with there are 2 cards in front of you, and you can choose either one. And Ariel presents a choice to Kain and says, "The twist, the M. Night Shyamalan twist of the game is you are a pillar.
You are the scion of balance. You are the last pillar,
which she never shared with Kain. Mm-hmm. Like she kind of tricked him and manipulated.
Tricked him and saying like you fulfilled this deed and killing all the pillar guardians, which would then include himself at the very end. You will find peace, in death. She didn't say. She forgot to mention that part.
And so in the game, you can choose the 2 different endings, but canonically, he chooses to stay alive.
Canonically, chooses not to kill himself. Kain says at the very end of the game, he says, "I am the last pillar, only survivor of the Circle of Nine. At my whim, the world will be healed or damned. At my whim."
Okay, take a break and grab in the mirror. Because we're going to get into Soul Reaver now.
You have so many great quotes, even in the first game.
Yeah, the quotes are amazing. The dialogue is just absolutely chef's kiss. It's great. It's got to be one of the greatest scripts written for a video game. All right.
Now we get into more of the meat and potatoes.
Okay, so I'm going to summarize game Soul Reaver 1 because we're never going to get through this video if we have to talk all the way through through all 3.
Well, let me just say the first thing about Soul Reaver 1. Anyone watching this, you should just watch the intro cutscene to it. It is one of the best video game, I think, intros ever.
Yeah. It's extremely there's a little bit more by the time that 1 and 2 come around. There's a little bit more graphical fidelity that's possible, and it's a movie. It opens up like a film.
Yeah,
where Raziel is speaking, and Kain is sitting on his throne at the site of the destruction of the pillars of Nosgoth.
Yeah, he's built his throne at the site of the destruction of the pillars.
Yeah. And Raziel essentially says that he's the firstborn of Kain's clans. Kain essentially, he makes his decision, right? He saves himself. The pillars are destroyed. In doing so, he now he starts to resurrect vampires. Like he starts to make the vampires the dominant species in Nosgoth.
I think this is technically like 1,500 years, I'm not 100% sure, after the fall of the pillars. So it takes Kain a little time to figure out how to resurrect vampires.
Well,
we know that Raziel says he's served his master a millennia. So he's at least been around for 1,000 years.
Right, and he has inside of him the Heart of Darkness, which we know can resurrect, can make the undead.
Kain does, yeah.
So, and I think somehow he has the power inside of him to resurrect corpses to vampires.
We don't know exactly how he does it, but somehow he's able to give
his own
soul or life to them. And it does say in the first Raziel's a bunch of brothers that he calls. The first one he goes after is Malachi, I think, because he was the weakest. He received the poorest portion of Kain's gift. I don't know how he resurrects them, but however he did it, he gets the least amount.
So the game opens cinematically. Raziel is the oldest of Kain's servants, and each of these servants has been gifted a clan. So they each control a house, basically. You know, if you think of like
houses of like
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
You think of Game of Thrones, they each control
Each
their
have their
own
own
house.
Yeah. But they all serve the king.
But they all serve Kain. And Raziel is the oldest of the houses. And he, in the opening cutscene, you see that he presents himself to Kain because there's this monumental moment here in which, like Ray pointed to earlier, humans were not meant to be vampires, but in being changed into vampires, they evolve. And Raziel essentially evolves beyond Kain.
As Raziel says, we become less human and more divine.
Divine. And Raziel essentially in the opening cutscene grows wings, and much like the ancient vampires, he essentially evolves beyond Kain. And so Kain feeling threatened by Raziel, or understanding the fate, like, we don't exactly know Kain's betrayal of Raziel. Does he do it out of spite of Raziel, or does he do it because he knows he's pushing along the wheel of time?
Yeah, pushing along the plot.
Yeah. Now Raziel doesn't know this at the time, and
no. It just seems like he's doing it out of spite.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So I want to breeze through 1 because 2 is the one that brings in more of the philosophy in the bigger plot lines. But like 1 is really follows a Blood Omen storyline in that Kain has Raziel tossed into a pit of damnation, basically, where he's like suffering for eternity. And the eternal, or what's his name?
The
elder god spares Raziel to make him his servant, and he puts him on Raziel, much like how Mobius attempts to control Kain. The elder god attempts to control Raziel by putting him on this mission to kill all. Basically, the elder god wants all the vampires to be exterminated because they are an abomination to his will. Like, because vampires
specifically Kain,
immortal.
because Kain did not sacrifice himself. You know, it's led to believe like he needs to die for the world. I guess another thing we didn't bring up. When the pillars are resurrected, Nosgoth and now the pillars are inexorably tied together. Like, the health of the world depends on the pillars. And so when they collapse, all of a sudden the world becomes just like this desolate,
it goes from a green
wasteland
planet to this wasteland, essentially. And so the elder god spares Raziel, puts him on the mission to, much like in Blood Omen, where you have to go kill each pillar guardian, Raziel is set on a mission to kill each of his brothers, and then eventually Kain.
Right.
So it's a long story. It's a great game.
Right.
It's simplistic in its nature, in the sense that the plots are complex and the dialogue's great. But the story revolves around Raziel getting revenge on his brethren.
Except one, Terrell.
Yeah, does he not kill Terrell?
Terrell doesn't show up till Defiance.
Oh, really? I forgot that.
Hashagik. Yeah. So basically, because we're not going to get to it, Terrell is... Someone must have used the time streaming device and abducted him from the future and taken him to the past, because Martinius has him locked up in the time of Blood Omen.
Interesting.
And he's known as Hashagik, as some sort of god. There was a reason. Originally, he was going to be in the game. For some reason, the developers had to cut him out of the game. So he is like, by the game, by Defiance, he has to be.
I do remember this.
Retro-con back in to the game.
That kind of makes the story richer in some sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so he kills all of his brethren. There's not a lot to delve into there, but the game ends where Soul Reaver 2 picks up. Kain has intentionally brought Raziel along to where they meet, which is the time chamber.
Morbius's old time chamber.
Yeah, they meet in Mobius's old time chamber, and Kain reveals to him at that point, which then becomes the open. Like they basically recreate the scene in the opening of 2.
Yeah, the ending scene of
1 becomes the opening of 2.
Cinematic of 2, and honestly, like 1 and 2 have some of the best opening cinematics. Even 2 is fantastic.
It's absolutely.
You should watch that. You should watch 1 and then watch
You should
2.
go watch go to YouTube. You can watch all the cutscenes from the Soul Reaver games. You can find ones also for like Blood Omen, but those are more of like narrative, like because of the time period. Right.
So you're fighting Kain while he's trying to turn on this time device,
and he spent Raziel fell through that pit of despair for 500 years. And so in those years that pass, Kain has been playing around with he's learned things. He's been playing around with this time chamber.
Kain even said, I mean, there's another like good quote like where he says, he tells, and this is when they like face off in the time chamber, where Kain says, "Eternity is relentless, Raziel. When I first stole into this chamber centuries ago, I did not fathom its true power. The true power of knowledge, to know the future, Raziel, to see the paths and streams tracing out into the infinite. As a man, I could have never contained such forbidden truths. But each of us is now much more than we once were."
Yeah. I mean, like, so, he, in the quote that Ray reveals, in which he's speaking to Raziel in the time chamber, he's sharing with him what becomes, which they delve into more in Soul Reaver 2, the idea of fate and free will, and he has learned things by being in this time chamber.
Much like Mobius manipulates time, Kain has now been able to do so too, and it's been hinted
to turn this against Mobius.
It's been hinted at that he has been using this time chamber.
Yes,
that
he knows things.
He knows things that
he knows Raziel's going to meet him there. Yeah, he also knows in Soul Reaper 2 when he knows when he's supposed to die. Yes, he tells Raziel, and let's now jump to Soul Reaver 2. Right. Soul Reaver 2 starts with Raziel is pulled out of the time stream by Mobius to essentially further Mobius's plans of killing Kain. And he ends up at 30 years... let me think about it.
It would have been 30 years
30
before.
years before Kain is about to become 30 years before.
Yeah, 30 years before the events of Blood Omen.
Yeah, okay. So
essentially, Kain is 30 years old at the start of Blood Omen.
So Kain has been born. Basically, he's an infant at the time in which Raziel enters.
You enter right before Kain is born, because the next time you see Kain, you meet him at the Pillars. Right. And Kain wants you to do that because he wants to show you something, which is he wants you to see the moment the Pillars are corrupted. Kain sits there, he stands, he's trying to stave Raziel off from attacking him and saying, "No, Raziel, watch this."
They see the moment in which
they see the moment where the Pillars are corrupted, they're cracked, they turn from white to dark.
Which Blood Omen 1... I feel like the original Blood Omen does not give you a sense of time that's passed. So, like, this makes sense to me. Like, okay, so the Pillars are corrupted. So, her lover, what was her lover's name?
Nupraptor.
Nupraptor has about 30 years to go insane. Like he starts going mad throughout a time period of 30 years because Kain grows into an adult. Through 30 years. Yeah. So.
At his birth, Kain is corrupted, which he says. Yes. Kind of in this pillar scene. He does have
the pillars are corrupted.
Good line. I don't know how he comes into the coin line. But Kain knows enough to know that...
Well, Kane's trying to explain to Raziel.
Yeah.
So they meet the pillars, right? So Kane is pulled. So Raziel is pulled out of the time stream. He has to fight his way out of what used to be the Seraphan stronghold, which is now like a mercenary stronghold that Mobius is now running. So the Seraphan are no longer like in operation, but there are a group of people who are still believers in what their mission was to eradicate vampirism, and eventually Raziel fights his way out of the Seraphan stronghold and makes his way to the pillars, meets Kain there, and Kain tries to explain to Raziel. Kain is trying to get Raziel on his side because Kain understands he needs Raziel to not kill him.
Yeah.
And to buy into like his point of view to further along this.
And I think he's trying to also explain the idea of fate in this world.
Yeah. Right. So Kain, but getting to Ray's point about the coin metaphor, Kain explains to Raziel, put yourself in my shoes. You had two choices. So he uses the metaphor of a coin to explain two choices. Had I flipped the coin and it ended on heads, and I had chosen to kill myself, the world would have been saved. Had I flipped the coin and it landed on tails, and I saved myself, the world's corrupted. But in the head scenario, like his point is, it's two sides of the same coin. In the head scenario where he saves the world, it still would have been corrupted because humanity is corrupt.
Yeah. Well, he says he would have wiped out the vampires.
Well,
by killing himself.
Mobius would have used this to kill all vampires. But
no, he was the last vampire.
He was the last vampire, right?
So
but I would have been vampires would have been wiped out if I had chosen that scenario.
Kane's like in the two-sided coin, like dialogue. He's like, yes, if I killed myself, I would have perhaps cleared the pillars, but wiped out the vampires.
But he knows that the pillars would have. But he makes this point to Raziel: the pillars would have fallen anyway.
Yeah,
because they were being degraded by humans.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's that great line in that. So Raziel is on his high horse to Kain about, I would have chosen integrity. And Kain says, don't speak to me of conscience. Don't speak to me of integrity.
So you have the full weight of choice or something. Right.
Like, I had to make a decision. He basically is like, Raziel, you have not been put in a place to make a decision that I had to make. And so he's trying to explain this to Raziel. Right. And in doing so, he has this great line about, like, if you flip a coin enough, like, there are two...
Well, he gets to that point by saying, because he says, obviously, two... Right. So it's coin, but he says... But there's a third option. Present, hidden in your very presence here.
Right. Raziel's the key to all of this.
Yeah, which then leads Raziel to say, well, you said yourself, Kain, in this scenario, your coin only has two sides. And Kain then says, apparently so. But suppose you throw a coin enough times. Suppose one day it lands on its edge. One of my favorite lines in any video game.
Yeah.
Like when I heard that line the first time, I was like,
playing the game, you're like, holy shit.
When I heard that line the first time, I was like, I put my controller down. I was like, holy, it was like so philosophical.
Yeah,
like,
this game is extremely philosophical.
Yeah,
it's I don't want to go on this diatribe very long, this tangent, but like, I feel like we've kind of lost that in video games.
Yeah.
The Legacy of Kain series was so, like, the idea, like the philosophical ideas, the ideas of integrity, like morality, immorality, fate, free will, the way that those are woven into the story of this, this is a video game, and yet it has...
In like the early 2002?
Yeah, and it has the
still
aspect,
ahead of its time in terms of storytelling.
Yeah, it's an epic, though.
Yeah,
it's Homer. It's Beowulf. It's an epic, you know? This story is so much beyond the realm of video games. Like,
and like the epic is every title is like the Legacy of Kain. The epic is the Legacy of Kain.
Right. And and not only the story, but like the voice acting again, like the level of excellence of the voice acting tied into the grandiose themes that are portrayed throughout the series and delved into throughout the series. They just are so wedded together in this amalgamation that becomes Legacy of Kain that like I just don't think we've seen a video game series that rivals it. You know, I know we love Metal Gear Solid and the themes and ideas are huge in that. But Legacy of Kain, I don't think I've ever experienced a game that's made me think as much as that, as this series has. And I don't think I've ever experienced a game that's made me...
the question free will?
Yeah, just question things and it's I don't know. It's hard to verbalize, but it's such an excellent game and the story is so excellent.
Whether you're like religious or not like religious, the idea of free will, like we all kind of understand that. Like, do we have it? Like, are we predestined for things? Like, is there like some sort of meaning? Our path, like the universe has created in this game series, it's very clear. Yes, time has created a very specific path of events, and they are trying to shoehorn this path. They're trying to throw it off. They're trying to create a new. They're trying to see if we can actually have free will.
Right. Kain's whole purpose in life becomes after messing around with the time stream and seeing everyone's unraveling fate. His purpose becomes: can we alter that fate?
I have to say, this is unrelated to the games, but there's this great Christopher Hitchens line that I love. Christopher Hitchens was a famous anti-theist, so he's a little more militant in his atheism. But when he was asked, someone asked him during a religious debate about the idea of free will, and he said, like basically asking whether or not he thinks that it's true or not. And Christopher Hitchens like was pressed on this question, and he's like, well, sure, I'll still answer the question even though you didn't answer mine. I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but he says this great line where he says, do I think we have free will? Yes, I think we have free will because we have no choice but to have it. It's a line I always love from Hitchens, but yeah. So
anyways, that was a long tangent, but like the ideas that are presented in Soul Reaver 2 are huge, and it was really a I don't know. I'm losing my words here, but it was. You did not experience a lot of video games that were like that.
Yeah, you didn't come into this game to. I don't think people who came into playing this video game, like when we came into playing it, we probably were like way too young to like really get it.
But it was important to our development. Like today you have fucking like Call of Duty bullshit. You know, like it's all Call of Duty bullshit.
Yeah.
And like when Ray and I were growing up, it was like games could be like moving and grandiose in their ideas.
I think we were growing up right around the time when like people are like, oh, we really need to make these games smarter. Like, I remember like even like,
I mean, Soul Reaver 2 was one of like the foundational games of PS2. Like, I mean, like it was one of those games that when the PS2 was coming out, it was hyped. Games of it,
maybe within the first year of it came out.
But there are not games like that anymore.
But yeah, I mean, going to that game, I thought I was just playing like a fun, like it was like a fun cool puzzle adventure game, but it's like with philosophy.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, you're about to throw all these like big themes at me right now.
Yeah.
Like life and death and free will and fate and and oh my god.
So this game also throws in like the time stuff.
So Raziel meets Kain at the Pillars. He has that famous quote about two sides of the coin, but what if we introduce this paradox and the coin ends on its edge? And so Kain's whole purpose throughout is more and more revealed in Soul Reaver 2, where his purpose is to disrupt.
Right.
He's like a tech bro.
He's trying to disrupt fate.
He's a tech bro. He's a disruptor.
Right.
But he's trying to disrupt the fate that's been put in place for them.
Right. And
Now,
through this game,
it could be selfishly because Mobius does tell Kain in Blood Omen that I've looked into your future, and your future is death. You are going to be killed.
You will die.
So, and we do learn in Soul Reaver 2 that his purpose is to be killed by Raziel.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is some selfishness, I think, there because, Kain is trying to not be killed in bucking this fate. But he's also in some way trying to free them all from the idea that they don't have
free them all from the unfreedom of fate.
Eventually, Raziel, I feel like, does come to Kain's view, but it takes him some time. There's a lot of time shifting that happens in Soul Reaver 2.
Right. He jumps forward in time.
He initially starts in the time before the time where the pillars are just then corrupted. Mm-hmm. But then he jumps. Mobius tricks him and pushes him forward in time,
and he has to fight some Hilden creatures.
Right
now,
when the pillars are destroyed, the Hilden are now no longer held from being, in Nosgoth. The Hilden can now return to Nosgoth because the pillars were the protection against them, and with the pillars gone, which didn't always make sense to me because in Soul Reaver 1, Kain's sitting at the ruined pillars. So I was always like,
well, this is what I think Blood Omen 2 tried to answer is obviously he had to square up against these.
Does he fight them again? Yeah.
Remember the Hilden antagonist in that game is the
Hilden King or something,
or whatever.
Emperor.
I don't think most fans kind of put Blood Omen 2 to the side because one of those games that was kind of just shoehorned in. But I also think you have to imagine I think there's a 500-year span before he resurrects Raziel and his brothers. So you have to imagine, I think Kain probably did have to square off against the Hilden.
Yes,
I imagine
that makes sense.
Whether or not you want to make it Blood Omen 2 or something else, if the pillars are destroyed, the Hilden are no longer held back, essentially, right?
Right.
So he must have defeated them in some way. Because Raziel doesn't know them. So by the time Raziel is resurrected, they must have already been defeated.
Right. When Mobius basically tricks him, sends him into the future, a future in which he has not killed. At one point in the game, Raziel and Kain come to meet at the burial place of William the Just. And that is the moment in time in which Raziel was supposed to kill Kain. Mm-hmm. And Kain convinces him. Kain does not run away from fate. He stands in that moment and tells Raziel, "You could kill me, but that's the fate that you have been led to.
Right.
Now you also now have the chance to not kill me." And Raziel holds in his hands the physical Soul Reaver, in which his Wraith Soul Reaver, revolves around, mm-hmm. and it's controlling him, and it's trying to kill Kain.
Fate is trying to pull Raziel to inevitability, which is killing Kain in this moment, because that's what's supposed to happen.
But he eventually bucks. He bucks it. He stabs the grave of William the Just mm-hmm. to avoid killing Kain. And then right after that scene, he meets up with Mobius, and he essentially threatens Mobius with to kill him if Mobius does not send him back to the time of Giannis Aldrin. And Mobius actually tricks him, sends him in the future to kind of make a point to Raziel, because the ghost of Mobius greets Raziel at some point in that future and says, "Well, look, Raziel, this is what happened when you didn't kill Kain, Right. And
clearly he is also in this moment, you can tell he is meek a little bit, the soul of Mobius, because I think he had always relied on the Elder God. You find out he's serving the Elder God, essentially.
Right.
I think he had relied on the Elder God to resurrect him.
Right.
And he clearly didn't do that. And so he's still devout and still trying to convince Raziel to do the right thing and kill Kain.
Well, what other choices does he have?
Yeah. You can tell in this moment he's kind of weakened or a little meek in his.
Raziel also like threatens to eat him because
He
he's
also
a Soul
threatens him,
Reaver,
yeah.
right? Like
Somehow
he
he
devours
just
souls.
up and disappears and runs away. But anyways, Raziel then finds his way back.
Yeah, he eventually is able to somehow manipulate his way. He manipulates the time stream device,
Right.
and he doesn't exactly know where he's going, but he just hopes that he manipulated it the right way to get to the time he wants.
Yeah. His
He
ultimate
ends
goal is to meet Giannis Ultron.
Yeah. Which Vorador, now Raziel at one point does meet Vorador. Vorador essentially tells Raziel to go seek Giannis Aldrin.
Yeah.
And I think Kain even encourages him to find Giannis. Anyways, the end of the game is in the time of Giannis Aldrin, where this is 500 years, I think 500 years before Kain becomes the Balanced Guardian. And Giannis is the last surviving member of the ancient vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also...
he's got that blue skin. He's got the angelic wings.
On fleek. He's looking good. Yeah. He moisturizes. Parted hair. You know, his teeth are all did. Mm-hmm. Anyways, Raziel finds his way.
Weird thing, though, is I don't know that I totally understand this. But the first time you ever meet Giannis Ultron, first time you ever see him, he turns around and says, Raziel, what has happened to you? Yeah. And it's like, how do you know him?
He recognizes Raziel.
He recognizes Raziel.
Well, the same thing happened to, I mean, it makes more sense with Mobius, but like when Raziel's pulled out of the time stream at the beginning of Soul Reaver 2, Mobius says that, oh, we know each other very well. I was friends with you when you were Seraphan.
I just don't know. Yeah, I didn't know.
Why Giannis Aldrin knows Raziel?
Before Raziel even has a chance to introduce himself, he calls him out by name. Raziel had not said, "Hey, I'm Raziel. How you doing?
Nice to meet you."
Yeah, nice to meet you. Good to meet you. Yeah, he just shows up and immediately Giannis is like, Raziel, what has happened to you? And it's like I never really got that. And it's not like Raziel pushed back and was like, we've never met.
You're like, shut the fuck up, buddy. Like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
You're not my...
You don't know
You're not part of my clan.
I'm not part of my clan. Yeah, I don't know. There must be... I feel like there must be a reason for that.
Giannis must have some foresight of this moment, because it seems like he doesn't fight against his own demise either.
There are a lot of... I don't think you see this during... Well, maybe you do.
I feel like he gives in to the Seraphim.
There are a lot of, you know, that the Hilden and the ancient vampires foresee or foretell of like certain events happening. Mm-hmm. So have some sort of foresight into the future.
Yeah.
So maybe he has met him. It's never hinted at that. Giannis ever played. Yeah, we can only guess. It's never hinted at that Giannis ever played with the time machines.
The fact that Giannis Aldrin is a guardian means that he must have some semblance of the other guardians.
Oh yeah, maybe.
And so maybe he has that. I also get the sense that the time traveling technology was probably created by vampires,
right,
and inherited by Mobius.
Right. But so also implies that he met Raziel before he became the Soul Reaver. Because he is just shocked by his form.
I get the sense that Giannis Aldrin is aware of his fate, much like Kain, and gives into it, doesn't fight it. Yeah. He's pushing a plot along.
Yeah.
Because when you see the scene in which he's killed by the Seraphan at Raziel, the human, Raziel's hand,
he doesn't really put up a fight.
He doesn't seem to put up much of a fight, but we don't see the whole fight scene because Raziel. We don't see the whole fight scene because Raziel is
the interesting thing we do see, like when so Raziel shows up to Giannis's like
place.
Bastion. His
Giannis Aldrin is the oldest ancient vampire alive.
He also, because he has found his way into Giannis's fortress, he then lays out a path for the Seraphim
the humans to follow.
Knights to follow. And the knights that show up are Raziel as a human, Seraphan.
Right.
Um,
All of them, like Malachi.
Malachi, Rahab, Terrell. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, we didn't cover this in Soul Reaver 1 because we blew past Soul Reaver 1, but like at one point in Soul Reaver 1,
One of the
Raziel enters the crypt of the Seraphan
Mhm.
and sees all of their graves.
He finds his tomb.
His tomb, Malak's tomb, Malachi,
Terrell, Rahab.
yeah, all of them. Like all of Kain's lieutenants were essentially human Seraphan fanatics.
And Kain does have this great line where he says,
"How could I not?
Who better to serve me than?"
He says our agenda was the same. Like the Seraphan,
who better to serve me? Whose notions of good and evil, something.
Like they could like ignore notions of good and evil because they had a mission essentially.
Right.
So essentially, that is essentially the ending of Soul Reaver 2. I mean, Raziel kills all of the Seraphan.
So that is the interesting twist. And even Raziel kind of laughs at it at this point where in the game where he for some reason his powers are depleted. So all of a sudden he has to pick up. Somehow he comes across the Reaver. Now. The Reaver he comes across is the Blood Reaver. It is not the Soul Reaver. We are about to find out exactly why. So, because he can't bring his own Soul Reaver to bear because for some reason his powers are depleted.
I think the Soul Reaver at that point.
I think that it was the staff too. Somehow the staff had. The reason they were able to overpower Giannis is they brought Mobius' staff. Which has some sort of
the staff is able
vampires.
to disable the vampires.
It has effect, I think, too on Raziel.
It has effect on the Wraith sword, but not on Raziel.
So Raziel goes back to the he gives chase to the Seraphan. He goes back to falls back to their stronghold to get some sort of revenge for what they just did to Giannis, tearing out his heart of darkness, which will eventually find its way into Kain. Raziel's at stronghold. He somehow stumbles upon the Blood Reaver, and he goes to kill his past self and all of his brothers, thus creating the bodies that Kain will then one day stumble upon and turn into vampires, which Raziel laughs at in this moment. And this is the ending of Soul Reaver 2. It is a twist much like the first Blood Omen game. Where we're not understanding, for whatever reason, throughout this Soul Reaver 2 game, anytime you interact with the Soul Reaver blade, you see his twin blade have this reaction to it. And so this is what Raziel says right after killing himself, his human self. He says, a foreboding sense of emptiness and loss stole over me, and a terrible revelation gathered, like a storm at the edge of my awareness. With all other foes exhausted, the conjoined blades turned themselves on me, and I realized finally why I had sensed nothing when Giannis offered me the blade. Oh, he must have grabbed it from Giannis.
Right.
The Reaver was never forged to be a soul-stealing weapon. The ravenous, soul-devouring entity trapped in the blade was and always had been me. This is why the blade was destroyed when Kain tried to strike me down in the first game. Tried to strike me down. The Reaver could not devour its own soul. The paradox shattered the blade. Mm-hmm. So, this was my terrible destiny, to play out this purgatorial cycle for all eternity. I could not bear it. Despair overwhelmed me. The sword then plunges itself into Raziel, because I guess at this moment he's supposed to die, maybe. Or no, his soul is supposed to be trapped in the blade in this moment.
Right.
This is when it becomes
Kain
the
does save
soul
him from
reaver.
that, though. Right?
Kain shows up before I can get the job done, rips it out, and Raziel then has an additional diatribe where he says, I realized I could never escape my destiny. History abhors a paradox.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last line of the game. It ends.
Right. Yeah.
That's the twist. Raziel is the soul in the Soul Reaver.
Right.
Originally, the blade was just forged to, it just sucked out the blood of humans.
Right.
Eventually, it turns itself on Raziel and then consumes his soul, becoming the Soul Reaver. It's a blade that now consumes not blood, but souls. Maybe both, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the greatest. I mean, much like the opening, I mean, it does end sort of on a cliffhanger because you get the sense that the developers intended for there probably to be a Soul Reaver 3. And
Eventually there was Defiance.
Yeah, I mean, Defiance does pick up the storyline because when you start off that game, Kain is in the Seraphan stronghold, and then I think that game when you it shifts between perspectives, right? You play part of the game as Kain, part of the game as Raziel. When it shifts to Raziel initially, he is in the presence of the Elder God.
Yeah.
Having just died, essentially.
Well, he's been there for a while, actually. When you begin the game, like he's just been hanging out with the Elder God for like centuries.
Oh, really?
Like trying to find a way out.
I don't remember a lot of Defiance. Eventually, basically the point of Defiance, hence the name, is they defy fate.
This is what actually happens, because Kain and him are in the time period of Giannis, right?
Right.
By the time Raziel finds his way out, there isn't like the time jumping like there is in 2. It's kind of like linear in the same kind of time realm. We're in Blood Omen.
Right.
So centuries have passed. Kain has been doing who knows what this whole time. Right. But I mean, we're not even going to dive into Defiance. They really need to. I mean, Blood Omen. It needs to be Blood Omen, Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2, and then they need to remake all those games and then figure out.
Somebody should revisit.
They need to get rid of
series.
Blood Omen 2 because I think one of the reasons Defiance, like they had to like shoehorn a lot of things in there, is to make I think things from Blood Omen 2 also make sense.
Eventually, the great enemy of the game that I remember of Defiance was the Elder God. Like, you ended that game killing the Elder God.
You didn't kill him, but you've... spoiler for Defiance. And this actually goes back to Soul Reaver 1, because when Raziel was going through the time chamber, there were these, like, black gates that he could, like, peer into.
Yes.
And it could see
the stars,
the past or the future or the present. In one of the scenes depicted as a future event, you see Raziel striking down Ariel. And all of a sudden, the blade changes colors. And this comes to pass in Defiance, where what was really happening was Ariel was blessing the blade. As the Balance Guardian, she was healing the Soul Reaver blade. Kain eventually stabs Raziel, thinking he was an enemy, and his soul, now having been healed from its corruption, enters the Reaver blade. And now the Soul Reaver...
In Defiance?
The Soul Reaver now can be used to attack the Elder God. Where seemingly, I guess he had like no...
So he gave himself over to the blade.
Yeah, he had his soul purified. Ariel sacrificed herself to heal the blade. The Soul Reaver Wraith blade. Raziel sacrificed himself to Kain's blade, so it could be sucked. His soul could be sucked into the Reaver, and now this Reaver can be used to attack the Elder God. That's how it ends. He doesn't kill him, but like the Elder God runs away in fear. So it was always alluded that there would be another game, I think.
Right.
Because the Elder God is not defeated at the end of... he's still alive out there somewhere at the end of Defiance.
Okay, well, Defiance is not a terrible game, but it's not one we're going to get into. Yeah. And we basically kind of come to the end of it here. But, I would say... in summary, that Blood Omen, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 are as a
like
if you think of it as a trilogy, which I think the initial trilogy is Blood Omen 1, Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2. Blood Omen 2 comes later on, and
It was made by a different studio too.
yeah, it wasn't like Crystal or whatever. What was it?
Well, I think it might
was
be
it
Crystal
Knights?
Dynamics, but like, or was it Silicon Knights coming? So,
I don't know.
fun fact about Blood Omen 1, it was made by Silicon Knights.
Okay,
And they had developed their own story for. I have no idea what their follow-up game would have been, but the game must have been, the rights of the game must have been bought by Crystal Dynamics, and they made an entirely different game, which eventually became Soul Reaver 1 and 2. So it'd be interesting to see the sequel that,
like, if that
Silicon Knights
was going to create the original Blood Omen 2.
I don't know if they had any part with Blood Omen 2. I'm just like, yeah. Oh, you're saying like
their idea behind
Omen,
the game would have been Blood Omen.
Who knows what their game,
their original idea.
Yeah.
Well, I think that has been enough about Legacy of Kain. It was and probably is the greatest. Thinking of it as a trilogy again, I'm putting these 3 games together as a trilogy. Blood Omen 1, Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2. Thinking of those 3 games together as a trilogy, it's probably the greatest video game trilogy ever made.
I think so too. Just in terms of
the
gameplay too was fun. I mean,
it was a fun game to play.
I mean, Blood Omen 1 was kind of hard to. You kind of really had to get
like Blood Omen 1 was that top down like Grand Theft Auto type game style game.
Yeah, when Sony was like selling you on Soul Reaver 1 and 2, they weren't selling you on a game with a fantastic story. It was a game with fun game it was
3D
dynamics.
Now. Yeah, like you were exploring a whole world.
Yeah, like this is a fun game to play. Like this game's like literally fun to play. Like it's a puzzle solver. It's like fun. It's 3D. Yeah, it just happens. That also had
I feel like that was a time in which games could be art. As well as games, and now it just seems like games are just made and sold to like some movies nowadays. Like games are now made and sold to just return the investment they made on the game.
Yeah, it's like Call of Duty. It's like we just need some semblance of a story.
Let's make Madden 50.
Yeah, Madden 50.
Like let's just make our money back on this thing. It's all crap,
Yeah.
Whereas, like, go play Blood Omen. Go find a copy of Blood Omen. Go find a way to play it. Like, go find the remastered version.
You probably buy like
it's probably in an app store.
Probably on like PlayStation Store or something.
Yeah. Go get if you need to beef up the graphics a little bit, go get the remastered version of Soul Reaver 1 and 2. Go play these games because that's the gaming that we grew up with. And it's back when gaming was still an art form, and not so much just a money making scheme.
Right. In a weird way, it was kind of like the beginning of like an art form, and then also,
not to say that all games today are not works of art. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's just the story mixed with the voice acting mixed with the gameplay made something different. It was different. Yeah. It was something. Legacy of Kain is something. If you played it, you'll never experience again. Yeah. And
it was like playing Metal Gear Solid 2 for the first time, where it's like that was also super story driven.
Right. There's nothing,
but it felt like revolutionary at the time.
Oh,
I guess 100%. The reason we were so tied to these games because like games were not back then. It's probably a foreign idea now because all games now have some sort of like story and voice acting are very important to modern games.
Right. But back then they would get away with just like bullshit.
No, they just had to be fun.
Yeah.
Games like Metal Gear Solid and Blood Omen and Soul Reaver were first like where kind of games where it could be like, oh, like you can have a good game with like a great story.
Yeah, I mean most games back then were like top-down view, side-scroll beat 'em ups, like 2D graphics, and it's like, well, why would we create a dynamic story for a game that is so like linear, in its visual capacity? And I will say, even Blood Omen in its 2D top-down viewpoint, like it still managed to create a expansive world. You know, like Nosgoth felt like a living, breathing world.
Yeah.
And the lore that was built around it. Like, and the way that they were able to sustain that storyline, the lore between Blood Omen, Soul Reaver 1 and 2, the way that, you know, again, in Blood Omen 1, they reference the dark heart of Giannis Aldrin. And Soul Reaver 2, 10 years later almost, they are still able to thread that line, to thread that needle, and bring back the idea of Giannis Aldrin's death and the dark heart, you know, without ruining the plot line, essentially.
Right. I don't know if you know this. I guess it's a fun little trivia question for you. Do you know who voiced Ariel?
I do not.
This is very interesting. I was just like when I was pulling quotes on IMDb. I feel like I did learn this before and must have forgotten it, but even from the very beginning, from the very first game, it was voiced by the actress who played, I can't remember what the character's name is on Breaking Bad, but the wife of Walter White.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow.
What is her name? I
have to go back
IMDb
and listen.
pulled up.
I have to listen to her voice in that show. Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, from the jump. Anna Gunn. Yeah,
okay.
From the very first game in the mid-90s.
Wow.
She was the voice of Ariel.
I mean, the voice acting is so tremendous. It's so
Tony J
awesome.
as Mortanius. Simon Temple did all the voices for Kain in all the games.
It's just the voice acting. You got to go play these games. You have to go play them.
I feel like the guy who voiced Mortanius then became the Elder God. Hold on, let me double check this. Because the guy who voices the Elder God voiced one of the characters.
I feel like you do listen to some characters and you're like, okay, that's the guy who does the other voice.
Yeah, Tony J did the Elder God. And he was the one, I'm pretty sure, who was in Beauty and the Beast.
Okay. Anyways. Everything about Soul Reaver 1, 2, and the original Blood Omen, I mean, like, there's just no complaints I have about those games. I mean, they were just astounding for their time. The graphical fidelity obviously got a lot better, especially with Soul Reaver 2. The cinematic opening. Well, I mean, the cinematic opening for 1 and 2 were both amazing, but with the power of the PlayStation 2, like Soul Reaver 2 was a little bit more dynamic in its cutscenes. But
Soul Reaver 1 was kind of like pretty straightforward, like revenge story.
Yeah, Soul Reaver 2
has like
so much more
philosophy. Like,
yeah, Kain was challenging the thinking of the player and of Raziel. And that's the thing though about these games, like they challenge the thought of the gamer. Like you playing the game as Raziel, you in some ways were going through the same emotions that he was going through, where Kain would, like, these moments would happen in the game that changed your whole outlook on events that were unraveling. It's like, oh, like I don't have free will, or like you would even question yourself, like, am I doing this action for myself or in the interest of someone else's motives? You know, like the game just made you question everything. And I mean, that's a good sign of a game. And it, it was beyond its time. I mean, that game, despite its graphical restrictions nowadays, like that game story-wise, gameplay, plot-wise, holds up today. And Legacy of Kain is by far one of the greatest series ever produced.
Right. I think so too. So yeah, I don't know if there's any more to say on it.
I think that's a good way for us to say we're going to sign off. So this has been Split Personalities. This is Ray. This is Bob. Go play Legacy of Kain. But before you do, like and subscribe.
Donate.
And support the show. Like, subscribe, and support the show. You can support us through Patreon if you're a real one. Or you can, do a one-time donation through PayPal. Both of those will be linked in the description. check the description, support the show, keep us going. In fact, just don't keep us going. Like, let this be our real jobs in the future. So we're trying to grow this thing organically. We'll try to for those who are in the Cleveland area, we will try to like make our way to some future events.
Right.
And be out amongst folk and grow the brand that way too. So we'll see you next time. Bye.